fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Deluxe Class Quake from the Transformers Legacy United line from Hasbro. So as you probably know, this is a repaint slash retool of Legacy Skullgrin that we got about 2 years ago. We'll take a look at those two together later on in the video. But we've also seen this mold used for Auto Troopers back in that Foot Soldier pack they did as a Target exclusive. So the mold's gotten a little bit of use. I think it's interesting they're giving us another Quake. I mean, technically, I guess it was back in Titan's Return, which doesn't feel that long ago, but I guess it actually was a good couple years at this point. But still, just weird to be seeing another Quake, which feels somewhat soon compared to the other. But in any case, looking at the artwork here on this box, I really love this artwork here on the front. We got Quake here in tank mode, which looks great. We got the two Target Master partners hanging out. I think that looks fantastic. Over here on this side, we have a nice bit of artwork for Quake's robot mode. And then over here, we have the standard half of the Legacy United mural. Not really much going on the bottom. Just have the Legacy United logo there on the top. And spinning it around to the back, we get some product shots here of the robot mode and the tank mode. I have to say, this tank mode looks a little lacking. I mean, we'll see how it is in person. Maybe it'll change my mind. I don't know about that, though. But I do love the two little Target Master partners. We got Tip Top and Heater. It shows that he can hold them both in one hand. I guess that's a feature at this point. We'll see. In any case, I'm going to go ahead, get everything out of the box here, and we'll take a closer look. So here is Quake in robot mode. Honestly, it's grown on me more than I thought it would. I honestly didn't think we needed a new Quake. I thought the old one was perfectly fine. I'm also not super invested in the character of Quake. I never had the original toy as a kid. You know, he didn't really appear in much of the fiction, maybe comic book at some point, but I didn't really read a lot of those earlier comic books. So I'm not super attached to this character. So the other one that I had from Titan's Return I thought was perfectly good, but this one's growing on me. I do like this one a lot, and we'll compare them a little bit later on. But the robot mode is pretty clean. I mean, you have the turret here on the back, but it folds up pretty nicely, so it's pretty compact. And honestly, if you want to just completely remove it, you can. So if you didn't want him to have a turret on his back, you could just put this off to the side and only bring it in for the vehicle mode. But I think it looks good. Adds a little bit of personality. I kind of like the one single barrel there just behind his head. I think that works. The arms are super clean. The legs are pretty clean. Like, yes, there's a lot going on in the inner workings of the legs, but for the most part, it's pretty well hidden. And I, don't have a problem with all that. I like the big treads here for the legs. I think that looks pretty good. I think the head sculpt looks fantastic. It's kind of hard to see the eyes just because the head crest is kind of big. But there, I think, is a pretty decent shot. He has nicely painted red eyes. The gold on the face looks good. I love the helmet. All of that detailing looks pretty good. Got a Decepticon symbol here on the chest. Gets a little lost on the blue. I kind of wish when the colors were similar, they would do some kind of white or silver or even black outline or something just to make it pop a little bit more. But we run into this a lot, unfortunately. But yeah, overall, I think he looks pretty good. Articulation-wise, I think the head is on a ball joint, but mine is kind of weird. Like, you can see he wants to look down, and kind of when I get to this spot, he kind of starts to swivel, and now he's looking up. So I'm wondering if it's just like a weirdly angled, misshapen mushroom peg or something, or if it is a ball joint, but it's just really tight, and I can't get it to bend back. It really doesn't feel like it's a ball joint, so I'm going to say it's a weirdly angled mushroom peg. That's what I'm going to go with. But mostly he just looks side to side. You have kind of a butterfly joint a little bit here in the shoulder. Mostly just because of the transformation, but you can kind of utilize that a little bit. Nice range of motion with a hinge there out to the side. Of course, you can rotate all the way around. You have a bicep swivel. I would say over 90 degrees there in the elbow. Nothing in the wrist because it just folds back into the forearm for transformation. I went to turn it and just popped it right off. Luckily, it popped back in, but it's just a hinge. It just goes down. So no swivel there. You do have a waist swivel here. Pretty good range of motion on the hips. Kick pretty far forward. Honestly, you can kick all the way back. The backpack doesn't even get in the way. Kick really far out to the side. Got a thigh swivel there. Maybe slightly more than 90 degrees there in the knee. And then you got pretty good ankle tilt. Honestly, if you want, you can go even further. I don't know if it's really meant to. But they've also kind of added this piece here So if you kind of do the normal level of ankle tilt, it kind of fills in the gap, which is nice. You can see if you keep going, you know, this piece here keeps going. But if you just have a kind of normal level of ankle tilt, it kind of fills in the gap there, which I think is nice. Always appreciate that kind of stuff. So yeah, articulation-wise, pretty good. He does have 2 other accessories in addition to this kind of turret accessory that comes in the box. And that would be his 2 Target Master partners, Tip Top and Heater. Now these are kind of done in the new style that we've been seeing with like Point Blank and Needle Nose, where they're just completely static and then they just have the barrels that flip around. And it's kind of charming in a way because it harkens back to the original G1 toys. The real reason it's done is because to give him 2 Target Masters or even 1 Target Master when he's a deluxe and to keep the price point the same, they have to just really basic out on these. But I still enjoy them. I mean, sure, I would love it if they were more like, you know, Power the Prime. I guess Siege. That was Siege, right, when we did those other ones. And they had a little bit of movement to them. That would be nice. But those were like $5 a piece, and they have to put 2 of these in here with a deluxe, so I get it. But they're really nicely detailed. I think, especially Tip Top, that purple really pops. The head sculpt looks good. You got the orange and red paint there. That's all sharp. For Heater, you have a lot of black and blue, so it loses a little bit of the detail, unfortunately, but you can see it there in the light a little bit. The red face is painted nicely. And then again, they just transform very simply. Now, they do have peg holes on the back, so if you wanted to peg one into the other one, you absolutely could. The hinge gets a little bit in the way, but you can definitely do it. Or you can just have Quake here. Alright, let's actually put this in his hand. There we go. So he's got his 2 Target Master partners. And then for whatever reason on the back of the box, they make a point to show you that you can put one in both sides of the fist. I don't know that that's a big thing. Maybe that's something that was advertised in the original toy or did in the comics or something, but you know, that can happen. I personally would rather he dual wield, but that's just me. You can do one in each hand. We'll put these, well, let's see, is there anywhere I can store these? I guess technically if I wanted, I could store these on the back. They would look kind of ridiculous, but you could do it. You could also put them here on the shoulders if you like that look. Or down here on the side of the leg. So, a couple of options for those. But I'm going to put them off to the side for the moment because I want to start doing some comparisons with this guy. So first up, we have our Titans Return Quake. And I have to say, now that I have them next to each other, I do kind of like the new one better. If this was the only one I ever got, I would think it's fine, and I wouldn't have a problem with it. But it's so obviously Hardhead, and this guy, even though he's made from Skullgrin, doesn't feel like Skullgrin, whereas this definitely feels like Hardhead. So I definitely like the lighter color scheme as well. I don't know why. I don't remember what the original toy had, because again, I never had it. I kind of, for some reason, think the original toy had a darker color scheme, but I kind of like the lighter colors. And then this guy obviously had no Target Master partners. I mean, you could give him, you know, these, the little Siege buddies. So you could have something like that. I don't know. When I look at these kinds of things, you know, yes, I like the articulation of these, but I kind of like how these are less bulky. So there's a trade-off in that regard. But, you know, you could transform these guys and... Man, I haven't messed with one of these in a while. There we go. Flip this around. And so then you had ball joints. Still had this ridiculous thing popping out of the chest as well, which is something you don't have to worry about here. I mean, you still have one. It's just not as big. It's about half the size. I don't know why these had to be so long. They probably didn't need to be, but... So, you know, it's a trade-off, but those were your options back in the day. So, yeah, I don't know. And this guy was a headmaster, which he didn't need to be, because Quake's not a headmaster, but that was the gimmick at the time. So, yeah, I think I'm warming up to this. I think I'm glad this happened. This was fine. Nothing wrong with this. I think this is better. And of course, since we were talking about him, here is Skullgrin. And I think it's kind of funny. He's taller. Like, you can definitely see right off the bat, like, Quake is definitely taller than Skullgrin. I think he's got bigger thighs here. And bigger, like, the whole box here for the hip, I feel like is larger. The legs are definitely a little bigger. They still have the same kind of, like, weird inner workings in some of the pieces. Like, I think the actual toes/heel piece are the same. So there is some reuse, but I definitely think a lot of this is new. I mean, I think let's see, shoulders are definitely new. Probably the forearms and the bicep and the hands, I believe, are reused. I'm going to say the whole lower half, at least aesthetically, is new. Because you can see that the hips are different, the crotch piece is different, the thighs are definitely different. These pieces, I think some of the inner working pieces are the same for how he transforms, and you'll see what I mean. The chest, I think it's definitely different. It's similar, but it definitely is different. Obviously, the head's different. And then, obviously, all of his accessories and whatnot. Probably, like, the back plate is the same. That kind of stuff. But, yeah, even this back here. Yeah, I mean, it's a good bit different. Almost to the point that, like, it's a completely different guy. Like, the theory is the same, but the pieces are different. Really, like I said, I think from the bicep down is very clearly reused. And then some of the inner workings in the legs. And, like, maybe the toe/heel piece. But there's a lot different here. Well, probably, you know what it probably is, actually? This is probably all the same, and this back piece is the same. It's just this piece here that's different. So I'm going to say maybe 25-30% is reused, and then maybe 70-75 is new. I mean, that's pretty substantial. And then, of course, I got to show him with his two junior Target Master partners in Needle Nose and Spinister, which I still absolutely love the name Spinister. I think it's kind of funny. So these guys have very similar Target Master partners now. So they're kind of the new theme. And then I've given Spinister just like two random ones from Siege here. Now, Spinister did have these non-transforming kind of representations of his Target Master partners. But I thought that I saw somewhere in one of the rumor sheets that there's going to be another Spinister, like in a 2-pack with somebody on like maybe like an Amazon capsule or something like that. So, you know, maybe they want to redo Spinister to give him the same kind of Target Master partners, and then all three of these guys will be pretty much the same. I mean, Spinister was a great figure. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with the toy or the design of the toy. Maybe brighten the colors a little bit, clean off the weird Siege wearing that they did for all that, and then give him Target Masters like the other two, and you could really, you know, make him pop, and then you'd have a pretty solid trio here, honestly. And I know I say it all the time, but I feel like I have to say it again. We've got the 3 Decepticon Target Masters. We've got a great set of Junior Target Masters. We're still missing Sure Shot. And what do we have? Scoop from, like, generations back in the day? Like, come on, guys. Show the Autobots some love. Can we please get the rest of the Autobot Target Masters and Junior Target Masters? I love these. I'm so happy we have these. But they need someone to fight. That's what I'm saying. Like, come on, guys. Give us the Autobot equivalents, please. But these 3 look great. Alright, so let's get into Quake's transformation here. We are going to flip the hands into the forearms, back like that. Then we are going to open up the chest here, like so. And then this is going to flip all the way around. Now you'll have to kind of unhook the turret so that this can kind of close around it like that. And then you come around to the back. You're going to use this slider here to slide this piece up, and you'll hear it click into place. And then you'll kind of spin these around like this so that these pieces with the tabs are facing up, because that way when this comes in, they'll peg into each other. But at the same time, there's a big tab right here, and that's going to tab in right there. So you have to bring this in, kind of tab this up, bring this in, tab this up, and then also tab them together. And then at that point, you can kind of just... Actually, I guess this will probably get in the way, so we'll just leave it up like that for now. But that's basically that whole section done. So now we're going to come to the legs, and you can see how weirdly done these are. I mean, they're not bad. It's just very interesting. So we're going to bend these at the knee like that, because you're going to need some clearance. So the first thing you're going to do, I like bring these all the way out just to have room. These pieces will kind of unhook from this piece, and then kind of come down and kind of just barely clear the thigh and just hang out like this for a second. So now you can see like that weird hinge bit and like this piece here that Skullgrin kind of had. So you can start to see how all that works. So you'll kind of flip this out of the way and then kind of bring this up, and that will allow you to move these joints. So you have like a pin here, a pin here, a pin here, and this is going to come up all the way like that. So you want this piece to be flush against the leg, and then this piece to be out like that. So while you're doing that, this has to come up. This will fold down like that, so that way it gets out of the way. And then you can bring this piece now fully around, because you'll have the clearance. You can kind of see this piece here is just kind of on this, like, this little red tab here, or peg. So it can kind of get loose, and you'd have to just kind of push it back down, but it's fine. So that goes like that. At this point, you can bring this piece around over top of the foot, and then that'll give you kind of your whole tank tread area. So kind of click that on. There you go. So now we want to do that again over here. So we want to kind of lift the foot to allow this, and then this will cascade out. Bring this like that. So that's the orientation you want that to be in. Then you can fold the foot down. Then you can bring this around, unhook. Bring this over the foot. And you can see it kind of clips on. There's like a little spot right there. And then you can flip this. So once you have that all done, let me zoom out. You're going to bring these back down and peg all of this into each other like that. So if you wanted to just do something crazy, you could call this the Gerwalk mode. Just have it like that. This is going to fold back down like this, and then you'll bring this up utilizing the hip joints. Or you could do something like this if you want. A lot of fun options. Then you're going to just hinge this down like this. Now you can see that there are two tabs right here and here. They're going to peg into the bottom of the feet. And also these tabs on the side will tab into these little spots here. So you kind of have to bring this down and then kind of wiggle these out a little bit so that that can come in and actually fit into all that and kind of push that all down. And then the last step is just to flip this down. And there is Quake in tank mode. Alright, so I'm not going to lie to you. This is not the best. It's kind of a chunk. It's not the worst, though. Honestly, like I said, when I first saw it on the back of the box, I was like, oof, that's not great. But in hand, it doesn't seem as bulky. Like, honestly, I have no problem with this whole section of the tank. I think the tread looks good. This section's fine. Honestly, even like this, I think is okay. I think the problem is that the turret looks kind of weird, and if you would ever lose this, you really just have a brick. And so that part of it's not great. I feel like if they could have maybe made the turret a little bigger so that maybe it covered this part a little bit more, it wouldn't look as weird. Because I feel like this section is just, or maybe if they could have curved this a little bit or something, so this part didn't seem so like flat and just like abrasive and so rectangular. Like if they could have maybe just shaved a little bit out of this. I mean, maybe it would have been too close and that's why they couldn't do it. You know, I'm not a toy designer. I don't understand all the clearances and tolerances and all that stuff. But I think the reason it just looks so weird is because it just kind of, it's like a hard right angle. Like it just drops off. And if they could have found a way to just kind of smooth that out a little bit, taper it down a little bit, something like that. Even if they could have, see how like this kind of tapers down? Even if they could have just found a way to make this part of the assembly like swing around 180, and then like this was the part and it just kind of like tapered down like that. I don't know. Again, I'm just making this up as I go along, but it's honestly not as bad as I originally thought. I still think, you know, that's just kind of a stunted stop. You know, if that was the back maybe, and then maybe this was the front, but then you can't really turn the turret around. I don't know. Again, I don't know what the answer is. And it's not terrible. It's really not. If we do a comparison here, here is the old Quakes. I definitely forgot to flip this around. I knew I was forgetting a step. I was transforming this and I'm like, there's something I'm missing. I forgot to pull that back. Okay. So, very different styles of tanks. And this is 100% hardhead. I mean, I think in the robot mode, it was a little bit more passable. But then when you see the tank mode, like this is hardhead. Just painted to be Quake. And to be fair, from what I remember, this is pretty faithful to what the original toy of Quake looked like. He was kind of a brick. Like from what I remember, I think the legs were like here and you kind of pulled them around to the bottom. And then the turret, I think, split down the middle and became arms on the sides. So it's pretty faithful. He was kind of brickish back in the day. So, you know, I could see this being reminiscent of that original toy. So, again, this was fine, but I think I was more okay with this in robot mode. I mean, it's very much hardhead when you have it in the vehicle mode. And so I definitely didn't like this vehicle mode as much. And I have to say, I think this one is more faithful to the original toy design. So, we'll go with this chunk. Anyway, let's bring in his little Target Master partners. If you want, you can attach them here to the top. It does look a little ridiculous, but you can do it. Also, you can attach them to the side if you like the look of that. Like that. And I mean, you do get a little bit. I mean, you can kind of lift this up too, so by lifting that up, you can get a decent amount of turret spin. Like, obviously, you can't bring it straight, but if you kind of lift this up a little bit and then, you know, you get a little bit of movement there. Putting these on the side equally is ridiculous, honestly. I don't think there's a great place to store them. They're just so big. But, yeah, that is Quake's little tank mode. Not bad. I have to admit, I actually like this a lot more than I was expecting to. I kind of had the Titans Return version of Quake, and I thought that was good enough, and didn't really feel like we needed an update. But when you stop and think about it, Titans Return was at least 5 or 6 years ago at this point, so it's quite a while ago. It doesn't feel like it, but it really was. And that was a hardhead retool, which was fine at the time, but the vehicle mode, it's just hardhead. It doesn't really have its own identity. This one I feel like has its own identity in the vehicle mode, and it's actually pretty close to what the original toy looked like, so I do appreciate that. I like the lighter color palette. I didn't think I would, but I actually do. I like the lighter colors. The head sculpt's great. I love the Target Master partners. The one in Titan's Return obviously didn't have that, and I think these are fun. I understand they're super basic, but like I said, there's something charming about that to me personally. You know, very indicative, very similar to how the original G1 versions were, and it's a cost thing just to be able to give us two of them in the box with the deluxe and not increase the price. So I appreciate that. It's honestly, it's made from Skullgrin, but it's so different. It doesn't feel like Skullgrin at all. Like when you put them next to each other, he's taller, you know, very, very different cosmetically. Some of the inner workings were kept, but they're covered with other pieces, so they really don't look like each other at all. It's really hard to look at this and see Skullgrin, in my opinion. You know, the Skullgrin was kind of a weird mold to begin with, and when we saw it as the Auto Trooper, I felt like there were a lot of similarities there. A lot of the pieces were reused. This is really, really different, and I actually, again, really like it. I think that since we've kind of started this thing with Needle Nose, and now we have Quake, and they have very similar Target Master partners, I kind of do want them to redo Spinister. When I saw the listing for that, I was like, why are we redoing all these? But I kind of get it now. I think they've found a groove for these, and I kind of would be happy to get a new Spinister. I mean, Spinister came from Siege, so they need to kind of remove the weird weathering. I would also brighten the colors a little bit, give him Target Master partners that are, you know, just like these with the flip out barrels and things like that. And we'd have a really nice trio. I really think that could be something special. So I definitely recommend picking this one up. I know if you're anything like me, you might be thinking, I don't need this, I don't want this, I'll stick with my Titan Return one, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with the Titan Return one, but I think this is an upgrade. I really do. I'm actually really happy I grabbed this, and I like it quite a bit. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thank you so much for watching.